So, a new version of iOS is coming out. Surprise! Okay, maybe you knew that already. But did you know that the new version of iOS is going to be called iOS 13? Well, you probably could have guessed that as well, right? Well, here are the top 5 things that were announced about iOS 13 that you probably don't know about. Or maybe you do. I don't know. Let's get started. At number 5, the Apple login button. We've all seen that sign in with Google or sign in with Facebook button, right? Well, Apple is creating their own little button. They're going to allow developers to simply add that option with a new API that they're creating. They're going to be able to put the sign in with Apple button right at their application. And the iPhone will sign you in with Face ID, and you can create an account without having to give any of your personal information. We've seen it done well with Google. It's pretty easy to sign in and create an account without having to type your name, address, all that information. And Apple is pretty much doing the same thing. But they're adding a couple new features. For example, if you don't want to use your email address, Apple can create a unique random email address to share with the application, allowing you to be in more control of your data and personal information. Small feature, but it should be a lot more convenient for iOS users at least. At number 4, the Photos and Camera app. Apple announced a few new features coming to the camera application, most of which allows you to edit your photos and videos in more ways. For example, they are updating the lighting effects on photos, allowing you to edit the amount of light shown, but doing it in a more natural way so it looks like you're actually moving your studio lights around instead of it just making it brighter. It's supposed to look a lot better. It's also much easier to see your editing tools on the camera application, and you can easily edit any photo you want. And for the first time, they're also adding all these editing features to video. So you can actually make a portrait video into a landscape video and much more. The photo app is also much more refined and intelligent, by the way. It organizes your photos by hiding duplicate photos, and it can show you what the best photo you took out of, a few photos that look about the same. So it's just much more smart, it's much more organized, and you're able to find what you're looking for much more quicker. It's a cool update, especially if you do a lot of photo editing and video editing on your iPhone. At number 3, app downloads. With iOS 13, Apple changed the way they package their apps. With iOS 13, application downloads will now be 50% smaller, and updates will be 60% smaller. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means faster performance. Apple claims that app launch speed will now be up to 2 times faster, and you'll be able to download and update applications much faster than before because they're smaller. And the best part, it's going to free up storage on your iPhone. And we've all been in that situation when our iPhone runs out of storage. So it's a great new feature, and hopefully it does exactly what Apple says it's going to do. At number 2, the updates to Apple Maps. So Apple announced that they are finally trying to catch up to Google Maps. Well, not really, but it's pretty much what they said. Apple spoke about how important it is to continue updating Apple Maps and making it better and better. The new map design that was unveiled in WWDC looked much nicer, with much more detail than what we currently have. And they also added a few new features, such as a favorites tab, so you can add the places that you routinely go to and save whatever addresses you want to quickly navigate to. They also added a new binoculars button to the top right corner, and when you click on it, it takes you to a street view, or a look around as Apple put it. which allows you to look around 360 degrees, and it also lets you move down the street. So it's pretty much Street View that you have on Google Maps for Apple Maps. It looks like it runs pretty smooth, but the only way we're going to know for sure is by actually testing out the new feature. And at number 1 is dark mode for iOS 13. Apple is a little late to the game with this new feature, but it's great to finally have this feature. Apple did a nice job making the changes to their first-party applications, and they look fantastic. And they're also making it available to developers so that they can change the way their applications look as well. There are great benefits to dark mode, one of which is reduced eye strain. And even though we don't know that for sure, it's gotta help a little, right? But the overall best benefit has to be power consumption. Apple devices with OLED screens should, in theory, use less battery life with a darker color scheme, because on a OLED screen, instead of changing the color of those pixels to black, the pixels would just shut off. So in theory, that would be saving you battery life on your on-screen time, right? It's just a really cool and interesting option. You can finally change the way iOS 13 looks, and even though you have only 2 options, the dark mode and the regular mode, it's still cool to change it up from time to time. iOS 13 looks to be like another solid update from Apple. It doesn't look like it's going to have huge changes when it comes to this update. Obviously, it's going to offer some nice benefits, some new features, and you can expect it to be quicker and faster than the previous update. What do you think of iOS 13? What do you think of our top 5 list of the updates coming to iOS 13? Let me know with a comment down below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos on tech news, reviews, and opinions, hit that subscribe button. Please hit it. Don't think about it, just hit it. Thanks for watching.